I'm a little bit broken this week. As we heard about 2 police officers that were killed this last week. And then a couple of days ago, we hear of, again, a mass gunman going into a school. 17 lives lost. So I'm a little bit broken this morning. Can I just be honest? And I know that you are pretty broken as well. And the media and one side or the other, they're going to debate whether we should have more guns, whether we should have less guns, if teachers should be armed, if they should. We're not going to do that here. There are places for that. Facebook is a great place to yell at each other. We're not going to do that here. But I do want to say 2 things before we get started this morning. God won't let me move on until I say 2 things. Because we as the people of God do have action to take in moments like this. In the midst of the brokenness, we can do something. And I want to call you to 2 things. 2 things specifically and intentionally in the midst of this broken, dark world that we find ourselves in. And it's fine for you to have an opinion on guns. No, that's fine. But for in here, I want to focus on 2 things. The first one is prayer. We have to be called to prayer. Prayer changes things. We have to be a people who are devoted to falling upon our knees and crying out to God in the midst of this brokenness and this pain that we find ourselves in called this world. We need to be praying for the school systems. We need to be praying for our kids. As we send our kids to school, we need to send them covered in a prayer that Jesus would go with them and be with them. So the very first thing, we need to be called to prayer. Can we get behind that? Amen. That's number 1. My daughter went on a mission trip about a year ago, a little over a year ago or so in Atlanta. And on that mission trip, they were headed into the inner city of Atlanta, and their van broke down. And it caught fire. Literally, the van was being engulfed in flames. And so they sent all the kids, and frantically they were grabbing suitcases out of the van and taking them and tossing them out as far away as they could, trying to save everything that they could as this van was being engulfed in flames. Well, another church group pulled up behind them, totally unaffiliated, just a blessing. Another church group pulled up behind them. And they got out, and my old youth pastor, he said, I was so thankful when I saw them pull up. Finally, we're going to get some help. And this group walked up, and they stood behind the church van, and this group grabbed hands, and they stopped, and they prayed. My youth pastor said, I really needed them to grab a suitcase. We need to pray. We need to pray. But sometimes we need to understand that we need to do more than just pray. Sometimes we need to understand that we need to be called into action. We need to do something. We need to grab a suitcase because the van's burning up. So what does that mean for you? It means reach out to your neighbor with the love of Jesus Christ. It means reach out to your coworker with the love of Jesus Christ. It means, kids, sit with, befriend that person that nobody likes with the love of Jesus Christ. It means let your neighbor know that you know Jesus. I wonder how many of us, our neighbor knows that we are Christian. Don't answer. I want you to think about that. I wonder how many of our neighbors know that we love Jesus. You see, often what we do is we take this faith, we internalize it, and we go home with it. And it's ours. Let your faith shine in a dark and broken and lost world. For God's sake, let your faith shine. Because I'm going to tell you something. The answer is His kingdom come on earth like it is in heaven. Jesus is the answer to this broken world. And so I don't want you to hear me wrong. We need to pray. We need to fall on our knees. We need to cover these situations in prayer. We also have to do something. Stop going home and hiding your faith. I'm not telling you to go rent a bullhorn and stand on a street corner with a picket sign. What I am telling you is share the love of Jesus Christ. St. Francis of Assisi said, share the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. Be called to action. That's what you can do. All right, I'm going to preach. I'm broken. I hope you are too. Shame on us if we do nothing. Be a part of Christ's kingdom message. We talked about last week the Great Commission. This is not a commission that says, okay, you go home. Make sure you're good. Make sure you said a good salvific prayer. Make sure you've taken care of yourself. Make sure you're good and boxed in and holy, and go home and keep it to yourself. Oh, how much truth was in that song we learned as kids. This little light of mine. Oh, but we hide it. We hide it. How many of your neighbors? How many of your coworkers? I'm going to preach. Prayer and action.